So far, all the stories complement one another, so let's dive deeper into the star outburst idea. One of the recurring pieces of evidence in these cycles is the nova-level isotopes discovered on Earth, those that can only be made in a stellar nova event. And they happen to show up in microtectites and fossils from these 12,000-year disaster cycle events on Earth. But can the galactic current sheet produce a recurring micronova on the Sun? Yes, because there are two ways scientists know how those recurring nova are triggered elsewhere in space. One is a magnetic kick to the star, and the other is to dump material onto the star, an accumulation called accretion. It just so happens that the galactic current sheet, bringing the galactic magnetic reversal, delivers the magnetic kick, and that extra dust, neutrals, and ions coming with the sheet is the material dumped onto the star. Both known methods of making a nova combined into one with the galactic current sheet. After the first ever nova study that actually included magnetic field influence, we know that the isotopes stuck to the dust can't make it out of the nova remnant. So, those here at Earth arriving every 12,000 years have to be from our star. The isotopes tell us what we need in terms of what a star must do. The galactic current sheet brings both known methods in one, and they can't be coming from some other star. The coincidences are really piling up now. And as it turns out, events like the solar micronova at various stars finally fixed the long-standing galactic physics problem. They knew the current sheet existed and extended throughout the galaxy, but their models couldn't resolve how it was sustained at that distance. Well, it just so happens, if you inject nova energy directly into the magnetic system of the galaxy at the current sheet, it gives it the juice to persist and sustain. So, the current sheet triggering stellar outbursts actually fixes galactic physics. Last year, after many years of swearing up and down it wasn't possible, that it wasn't a thing, astronomers have finally admitted that micronova exist. These events recurring at the Sun are not only the only explanation for the Earth isotope evidence, they not only can be triggered two ways by the galactic current sheet, but they are also actually needed to explain our real universe observations of the galaxy. Same story, different fields of science. So let's come back to Earth. Every catastrophist throughout history included the Earth tilting, turning over, and creating massive tsunamis as the oceans slosh around. Einstein and several others agreed that it would be the unlocking of the crust from the mantle that would cause the shift, but they couldn't figure out how. How do you unlock the crust? With modern evidence, we now know that the crust is locked with a thermoelectric equilibrium, and scientists already know the sun's impacts induce electric current into the mantle, right through that crust-mantle boundary. The solar micronova surges enough of that current to disrupt the thermal and electrical aspects of that thermoelectric equilibrium, unlocking the crust. So, the micronova is also needed to finally finish the stories of the catastrophist claims that the Earth tilts, turns, and triggers massive tsunamis. Interestingly, several scientists in Einstein's time also did the math on what would happen if they could unlock the crust. The ice weight at the polar region would want to spin at the equator, the point of greatest centrifugal force, and the greatest bulk of ice happens to want to tilt Earth such that Greenland would end up at the equator, and so would the portion of Antarctica that is south of Australia. This would put the Bay of Bengal in the Indian Ocean and Peru at the north and south poles, which is exactly what was predicted long ago by several other catastrophists who didn't have that ice math from Einstein's time, which is absolutely amazing. But it's not just a two-way coincidence there. The magnetic poles are already moving, as we mentioned, and they are set to meet one another, to collide in the Bay of Bengal, with Peru, of course, being on the opposite side of the planet. If the planet tilts as previously predicted, and as the later math would suggest it will just so happen to put the magnetic poles back at the north and south geographic pole. That's perhaps the greatest coincidence of them all, and yet, just another on our list. The story grows even more interesting when we realize that religious texts and mythological stories say exactly this will happen, from the earth swaying to and fro like a drunkard, to the black sun and days of darkness, which would be caused by the material accumulating on the sun before the micronova, to the great waves and floods and fire and volcanoes and the loss of species. Now, how in the world do those old stories now match the science? Not only the science, but the humanity as well. The culture of us humans today makes the entire world seem like one giant Sodom and Gomorrah. The rise of satanic degeneracy, the loss of traditional moral values. It is exactly as was written. So they predict what modern science predicts, and even down to how humans will behave. Honestly, how many of these coincidences are we supposed to ignore? Well, let's add on another one. It seems the governments and elites are preparing for exactly this. They are acting recklessly because they know there will be no reckoning. They are spending like there's no tomorrow, because on a realistic timeline, there isn't one. Governments are digging underground, and elites like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are expanding their options. Bezos is digging out a mountain in the Sierra Diablos right across the street from his Blue Origin launch facility. And Elon Musk has SpaceX and the Boring Company. Celebrities and billionaires are buying doomsday bunkers at a surprising rate. Even Andrew and Tristan Tate are building one in Romania. Folks, most of science is one vector, one line of evidence, and then best estimations or guesses about what it means. This is not most science. It is the same story told by Earth's history, paleoclimatology, paleomagnetism, fossils, sediment, solar system physics, astrophysics, galactic physics, modern observations, math, religion, culture, and the movement of the elites matches up. Don't listen to what they say. Just watch what they do. Speaking of math, current rate of change suggests we have only 10 to 20 years left. So will you acknowledge the mountains of evidence singing the same song? Or will you let the world distract you? Will you let disbelief dissuade you? Your future and your children's future depends on your answer.